Each day, we're reminded there's nothing guaranteed about our democracy, nothing guaranteed about our way of life. We have to fight for it, defend it, and earn it by voting.
President Biden vows to continue fighting against gun violence as 6 people are killed and dozens of others are hurt during a 4th of July parade in Illinois.
Wesley Hunt, Army veteran running for Congress in Texas, is here to react. And Wesley, I don't know if you also saw Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker talking about the tragedy and going right to talking about guns as well. Your reaction this morning?
First of all, thank you so much for having me on. And obviously my thoughts and prayers are with those families that lost a loved one and were injured in yesterday's vicious terrorist-type attacks. Yesterday, we were able to celebrate our country's birthday. And so whenever I see people besmirch that by taking the lives of other Americans, we know it's absolutely an awful thing, especially given all we've seen in this country over the course of the past year. But we have to address here is the idea of protecting our Second Amendment rights, but also understand that when a bad guy has a gun and wants to do bad things to innocent people and wants to arbitrarily maim people, they're really hard to stop. So we have to be vigilant to keep the guns out of the hands of those people that want to do harm to others, but also at the same time keep in mind that our Second Amendment rights shall not be infringed, and we've got to keep that in mind moving forward.
Yeah, and even the mayor of Philly was in a different shooting this weekend. He blamed the violence on the Supreme Court, so they automatically went back to that. But, Wesley, we interviewed a 911 dispatcher in Chicago about 30 minutes ago, and he said something to me that stood out, saying that this is becoming the norm. That is not good. How do we reverse this thought process?
Well, I think there certainly is a mental illness piece of this conversation that we have to have nationwide. And also we have to make sure that, again, we keep the guns out of the hands of people that should not have them. This is going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a very arduous process because we have to keep in mind that stuff like red flag laws, trampling our Second Amendment rights, trampling on our Constitution, and trampling on those that want to have their own personal and private property, again, shall not be infringed. It's a conversation that we're going to have nationwide, and I think it's already begun. But again, this is a tragic day in certain regards, especially given the fact that we're celebrating our country's birthday as well.
Well, you talk about that conversation, Wesley, and I don't want to go backwards, but again, Governor J.B. Pritzker really struck me because on the 246th birthday of our nation, he said the founders fought with muskets, not with assault rifles. Now, a high-powered assault rifle was used, and we need to address it, but is that the role of politicians now who should be a consoler-in-chief perhaps at the moment? Was that the wrong choice to talk about that, or is it time to start having that conversation right in the midst of tragedies while you have victims fighting for their lives in the hospital?
Of course, and that's actually an intellectually lazy argument. When the First Amendment was created as well, there wasn't social media that was when our founding fathers were talking about freedom of speech. So let's have that conversation too. But you're right. I think we need to be more consoling and more understanding of those that lost their lives and show compassion, particularly in that time. And look, I'm a gun owner as well. I have guns to protect my family. I know it's my Second Amendment right, and I get it. I'm a military guy. I have experience with firearms. But guess what? It's everyone's right to be able to own a firearm. And I don't think that we should be taking away firearms from people that should legally own them, as our Constitution has allowed them to do so.
Let's get to this. DHS Secretary Mayorkas is claiming the Biden administration is working hard at the southern border. Listen to this.
I think that we are doing a good job. The migration that is occurring throughout the hemisphere is reflective of the economic downturn, increase in violence throughout the region, the result of the COVID-19 pandemic, the results of climate change.
Wow, they are really just trying to pull out all the stops here and blame everything but themselves, Wesley.
This is the result of absolutely bad policy that's been passed down from the current administration over the course of the past year. We have an open border policy. We've had enough fentanyl to pour into this country to kill every American 5 times. We have a baby formula shortage. We have hyperinflation. We have a border crisis, as we're talking about right now. We have the highest gas that I've ever seen in my entire lifetime. Literally everything is burning to the ground. It has nothing to do with what Marcus was actually talking about. It has everything to do with these poor policies that have killed this country. But guess what? This is why people like me are running for Congress, because we're going to have one heck of a midterm, because we are recognizing this. The American people are not sleeping, and we are going to vote with our pocketbooks. And keep that in mind. When you look at the level of inflation that we have seen just in my lifetime, this is the highest it's ever been. And the American public is not going to forget that here in November.
We shall see. Let me just get one more topic in here, Wesley. Thank you for getting up, by the way, with us early this morning, and that is Vice President Kamala Harris. Now, she is likening the end of Roe v. Wade to slavery. Listen.
We've had a history in this country of government trying to claim ownership over human bodies.
Exactly. Yes, that is right.
And we had supposedly evolved from that.
Your reaction?
You know, likening Roe v. Wade, the overturning of Roe v. Wade to slavery is like comparing apples to orangutans. It's just flat out intellectually lazy. But since she wants to bring in race and slavery like they always do, let's keep in mind that 1/3 of all abortions were actually at the hands of black women, yet we only represent about 13% of the population. In New York City, there were more aborted black babies than were born last year. So if we want to talk about race, let's talk about society that may be comfortable with knowing that there is a particular group of people that's not going to be allowed on this earth at the same rate as everyone else. And I understand this is a tough topic, but that's why it was overturned, because these topics have got to be discussed at the local and state level. And since we want to talk about slavery, my great-great-grandfather was a slave. Let's put that in mind. His great-great-grandson is going to be a United States congressman in a predominantly white district. And why? Because we've made progress. And every time we make strawman arguments about slavery, we cheapen the people that actually went through slavery. It has absolutely got to stop. Again, it's intellectual laziness, it's dog whistling, and it must stop.
Wesley Hunt, candidate for Congress in Texas. Wesley, thank you very much, sir. Have a good day.
God bless you. You have a great morning. Happy 4th to y'all, even though it was yesterday.
You too.
Happy 4th, indeed.